Hello, everybody. Jim Malone here, coming to you live on Dallas Trading Floor. It is Wednesday, June the 9th. And stock market is, well, it's doing it's funny. The NASDAQ is starting to pick up a little bit. The Dow is off a little bit. It's just kind of a weird day. It's kind of a weird day in the market. So just kind of want to get to the slides. I have some kind of interesting stuff here. I think that you might be interested in. And let's get, without further ado, let's get to those slides. Um, the question is, and I pose this question, is Wendy's the next meme stock? Well, it might be. But first, before we answer that question, let's look at kind of what is happening in, what is happening in the Nasdaq, and it is up. It is almost, and I say almost, at that very key level, that 14,000 level. There we go. It's almost at that very key 14,000 level, and that's where we've been trying to get back for a long time. So we're starting to, we're seeing some increasing strength in the Nasdaq. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we are, and that indeed is a very, very good thing. I just wanted to show you about Wendy's. It's interesting. Yesterday, it shot up to 29, and now it's pulled back to 25. But the question is it going to move higher? And this is a very interesting idea. And I haven't been really as active in these meme stocks as probably I should be. So I kind of picked this one out. I looked at it, and I was looking at the chart, and I was going, wow, that is a very interesting chart. I wonder if it possibly, might move this way again. Now, it's fallen 789%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look, sort of at what the short interest is in it in just a few minutes. But it's a good stock, but it had been kind of, it's got in this interesting pattern. So I think you need to put this one on your watch list. The symbol is WEN. Of course, everybody's heard of Wendy's. It's good. It's a great. It's a great chain, but it's been, it hasn't been very exciting up until just very recently, into June. So the question is it being actively shorted? Well, I think the question is yes, but the question is we got to answer is there an opportunity to make money in it? So we'll get back to this, but I think that's a very interesting question. I want to show you a stock that I bought today. Everybody's heard of this stock. And this is World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. Now, there is a rumor that it's going to be acquired. I don't know who by. I just based this totally on the technicals. It's up significantly. I didn't quite get it at the absolute best time for a breakout, but look at this. It's a gap up breakout with very, very abnormal volume. The volume was up 899%. So that's very interesting. And I went in with a half position, and then I went in with a full position in the small portfolio. So very interesting stock as well. You might want to put this one on your radar too, WWE. Now, getting back to kind of the the other stuff at hand, the stock of the day is Vale, and this is a mining company. Now, interesting, this has been a very strange rally. I'll be honest with you, very strange rally, because we have been favoring stocks that are not like we normally see. I mean, the commodity stocks, the oil stocks, those kind of stocks have been doing great, and Vale definitely falls into that category. So it's had a lot of strength. It does have a flat base. It's just getting ready to move. It's not ready to buy quite yet, but I think if it moves above about 2350, this one may move to a next new level. And it's interesting because it has a nice support. The relative strength line is at a new high. So along with some of the oil stocks that I've been talking about in the last few, actually weeks now, well, actually months, about 2 months, this is one that you might want to put on your radar screen. It's definitely a leader in the mining area, and it's one of the biggest copper miners in the world. So there's going to be when the economy recovers, there's going to be some tremendous demand for copper. So this is not a bad one to have on your radar screen. Vale, VALE. So just want to kind of put that out there. Here are the stocks that I'm currently in. Of course, everybody knows I'm in an Apple now. There's a key support level at 127, and it looks like we're moving through that. I'm hoping we are, but here's a little bit of concern here. the volume's a little bit low. I had an option that expired. I had sold a call option on some of the shares that I have. It expired, so I made the money there, but I'll probably be selling another one out. I'm just kind of, slow and sure wins the race. Now, I did have a very nice a bull call spread on this one, and it's available to our members that are on the Action Trade Alerts. I'm going to be probably sending that one out, a link to that one. I'm going to probably put a link to that one out there. But very nice. Apple is starting to move finally, and it's looking pretty good. Just wanted to show you some of the other stocks that I'm holding right now. As everyone knows, I'm very heavily into many of the oil and gas stocks. Matador Resources, this has been doing very, very well. It's down a little bit in volume. Whiting Petroleum, this has also been doing quite well. It's up about 20 to 20% from where I bought them about 8 weeks ago. Nvidia. Now this one's strange. It's pulled back again. Currently, Nvidia is trading at 695. It seems like there's a little bit of resistance right at about 700. So it seems to be pushing up against that and then pulling back. The volume isn't really up that much, but we do have a major event coming up with Nvidia, and of course that is the 4-for-1 stock split. Now, on Thursday of last week, the shareholder the board approved the expansion of the authorized number of shares to go from 2 billion shares to 4 billion shares, and this is what's allowing this 4-for-1 split. So currently there's about 1 billion shares outstanding. It's gonna split 4-for-1. So this is typically an event when you have a strong stock like this, and Nvidia is definitely a leader, that it can create some very good opportunities. This is what we did last year with Tesla, and also with Apple in August when they split. Tesla, of course, 5-for-1, and then Apple 4-for-1. Also, I'm in MGM. That one just kind of seems to be going around. I may be dropping this. It just isn't picking up as much as I'd like. I do have a spread, and also I do own the underlying ETF that tracks the price of gold bullion. Bullion down a little bit, but I still believe we are going to see quite a bit of inflation towards the end of this year, and that's the reason why I'm in GLD. Also, I have another oil company in there. It's done also quite well. They all kind of move in a group, and that's OVV, and that's another oil company that you might want to consider looking at. I also did on Tuesday. I bought DocuSign. It's up significantly, so it pulled back a little bit on the volume, but this ran up very, very quickly, and it's sort of adjusting right now. And then, of course, this morning I bought WWE, which is the World Wrestling Foundation. I never thought I would buy a stock like that, but hey, you never know. It's whatever the charts are saying, and that's definitely up. I want to kind of show you 4 stocks right now, just very quickly, that are at a new high. Now, contrary to popular belief, everybody says, buy in the dips. Well, don't buy in the dips, because the dips have a way of continuing to go down. So one of the ways that you can kind of gauge what is potentially a good share to buy is seeing what stocks are at a new high. And one of the stocks, now, of course, these 2 stocks aren't quite ready to buy, but they have extremely strong, all of these stocks, and of course you've heard of Google, have very, very strong composite ratings. This is the top composite rating that you can have. So I want to show you 2 stocks here that still, I think, have a long way to go and maybe should be on your radar screen. The first one is Academy Sports and Outdoor. Academy Sports and Outdoor, I don't know if you've heard of this company, but here in Texas, it's a very big deal. The reopening trade is happening. A lot of people really like the sporting goods they have. And I will say, unlike Dick's Sporting Goods, symbol DKS, Academy Sports actually sells guns, which is a big deal here in Texas, and it's doing extremely well, as you can see. It is at an all-time high, and this is the one you might want to consider. Now, it probably is going to adjust here a little bit, but as you can see, there's sort of a general trend, and the trend is upward, so it's very good. They had some excellent earnings. Their earnings per share were up very significant, almost 1,000%. So it's really, really interesting. They just came through this earnings. Not only were their sales up 39%, but more importantly, their profits were up. And this has just been a tremendous performer. Only 27% of the shares outstanding are owned by funds, but that's significant because typically when a stock moves like this and it's at an all-time high and it has fund ownership, typically when funds own between 20% and about 60%, that's when we see some of the largest increases in share prices. So look for this one possibly to continue to do well. Academy Sports and Outdoor, and of course its symbol ASO. Another one that I had never heard of, but I just did this and I found this from the screens that I've been looking at, is a company called Camtek. It's an Israeli maker of automated optical inspection systems for printed circuits. Now, the reason this is significant is because there's a worldwide chip shortage. And as you know, the supply chains are very constrained right now. So the equipment makers, the makers that are in the supply chain that can automate some of these processes are doing very, very well. This company has been around for a while. It's not buyable right now, unfortunately. But it's a little bit extended, so you don't want to buy it probably right at this point. It's a little bit extended. You kind of want to wait for possibly for it to set another base. But the current base it's a cup base, and it was back basically in April, the beginning of April, at the buy point was 35.24, and as you can see on this little dotted line, and then this blue zone. The blue zone is really where you should try to buy the stock, and if you can see this on your screen, that ends at about 38.14. So right now it's a little bit extended at 39.64, but it definitely should be on your radar list because I think it has some great potential to go much higher. So without further ado, let's get into some of the questions. Thanks everybody for holding on here, and let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go to to and probably try to take some of the first ones here. Matt, Jim, your thoughts on GNK? Let's see if we can bring up the chart for GNK here. There we go. Just arranging my screens here so that everybody can see them. And GNK. Let's take a look at GNK. So GNK it's basically a transport company. So it's in a good area, and it has definitely moved up. There is, looking at the chart, the higher high was 1713. It's past that right now, so it does look like it's possibly moving higher. This group is extremely good. It's in the transport group, 8 out of 179. So there's a lot of action in commodities right now, and this is part of the reason why this is doing good. Now, there is a very ZIM is also in this group, and I think that's the leader. So I want to kind of look at this group to kind of see if this Genco shipping has leadership. So let's take a look to see if we can find leadership here. Well, it looks like Pangea Logistics is the biggest in the area, but the one that seems to be doing the best, Genco Shipping, this is excellent. So this is right in there. One we also want to look at is Global Ship Leasing. So let's look at GSL and see. This is a stock that we might also want to consider. This one is probably a little bit better than the Genco that you put out there, man. But they're both excellent. I want to reiterate this one. They're both excellent. This one is proving to be, though, I think this is probably the one you might want to look at. Has a nice volume spike here. It has a relative strength line that's moving upwards, and it looks like it has gapped just above the base on base. This is a very strong pattern. It's called a base on base pattern. The local buy point for this one is 1746, but it looks as if it's going to move higher. So this is up tremendously today. I think this is one you probably want to put on your watch list. It's up 306%. Why? I don't know, but it is. It's very strong. And the price on this one is $18.65. So this is one that you might want to take a look at in that. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this branding here. There we go. So you can kind of see the chart here. But this is Global Ship Lease, symbol GSL. It is breaking out today. It has high volume. It's in an excellent group. Let's look at this. Let's look at the checklist to see if oh, somebody just 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 joined our community on Beacons. Kind of nice there. We have that going, and I'll show you that in just a second. But got kind of a good place to look as well. So let's go back here. So GSL is definitely something that I would definitely take a look at for as opposed to Genco. Genco's excellent, but this one is a slightly better global ship leasing, at least for right now. But I appreciate that. That's a great that's a great area, and I think it's gonna start looking really really good. All right, we have a question on. Let's see if I can get my camera back up. There we come on. There we go. All right. So we have a question from Nathan. Thanks, Nathan. GME strength, has it formed a cup? Well, let's see. I don't know. This is also a meme stock, of course, GME. And let's take a look at the at the chart here. This is not a cup. This is a tough chart to read because it doesn't have a traditional cup. I'm going to the weekly chart to kind of see if we have anywhere where we can look. It still has this incredibly strong relative strength. Earnings are due today. I don't know how they're going to do, but we're going to see how they do. I wouldn't. This is not. It does look like a cup pattern, but the pattern recognition that I'm using doesn't say that it is. So this isn't really a cup pattern. The meme stocks are tough to buy because they form these very strange patterns. But one of the things is GameStop is in the retail consumer electronics area, which is one of the top areas. So let's kind of see if we've run out of steam on this, or if or if there's some potential there. I'm going to check the. I'm going to do a calculation on the short interest. So basically, right now we have 1.5 days of short interest, and then the average daily volume on this is incredibly high. It's 8,093,900. Yeah, 900. And then we divide that, of course, by the float. The float is 58.7 million shares. Okay, so let's get an idea of the float. So the float's 21%. So if this is still in a short position, 20%, 21% of the shares right now of GameStop are still short. So there could be another short squeeze here. Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely not off the radar with numbers like that. The question is, where is that going to be? Well, here's the thing. I would sort of try to wait on this one until after earnings tonight, and then see how this starts to trade tomorrow. If it moves up, and boy, it's already moving up 307, up 28%. I mean, we possibly could have another. It could move all the way to 350. I mean, that's absolutely possible with this. So GameStop is definitely still looking like that is the case because of the short interest. What I also want to look at here, because I've talked about it before in the intro, is Wendy's, because I want to see kind of what the short interest is on Wendy's. So I'm gonna put that WEN, of course, is the symbol for Wendy's. This is also a meme stock that has had a lot of short interest. So I want to take a look to see if what the percentage of shares outstanding are short for Wendy's. So basically, the amount of short interest is 1.9 days, and the average shares are 4,348,600. That's the average daily volume, and then the outstanding shares are in the float are 179,300,000. There we go. So we kind of see. Okay, so only 5% of Wendy's is short right now, so we may have had a short squeeze, but it doesn't seem to be as shorted as GameStop. Very interesting, though. This one's moved up and pulled down. So I think that there might be some more action on Wendy's, but right now it doesn't appear. It appears that the short squeeze has been alleviated. So I kind of wanted to do that calculation really quickly to see if if we had some short potential there as well on that one. Let's take a look um, from TikTok. Any idea when Apple will bounce again? Good. That's a good question. I don't know if Apple will be bouncing. I did a bull call spread on it because Apple, as of late, has been moving very slowly, and everybody, of course, knows that I do hold Apple. I still think it's a great stock, so let's kind of take a look, kind of what's going on with Apple. By the way, if you're looking on TikTok, very easy to see what I'm doing here. Just go to youtube.com/DallasTradingFloor to see the latest show on YouTube. But also, you can go to the link in my bio, hit the link, and then scroll down, and you'll be able to see all the charts. Unfortunately, I can't show the charts on TikTok, but if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see all the charts on this. So let's take a look back at Apple. Apple is basically up today. There's a very key level here, the 127 level, and it just appears to be really just kind of stuck there. Let's look at the 10-minute chart, and that's going to give us an idea. There is resistance right here at 127. That's kind of the resistance. As you can see, it's pulled below it, but now it's pulling above it. So once it kind of clears the 127.50 range, I think it's going to move. I think hopefully it's going to move higher. But let's look at the daily chart. It still really hasn't reversed. I have this reversal line here that's still on. So really, any new buys should be for any new buys, we ought to be looking basically at moving above that reversal line. So let's take a look to see kind of, so for any new buys on Apple, you really need to buy it above about 131.30. That's kind of where you need to buy it, because that will say that it has reversed. It's got a short-term reversal, but it's still kind of just trading right at the 200-day line. So right now, unfortunately, I don't think you want to do any new buys on Apple, but I think over a longer period of time, if it moves above 131, and I think hopefully that will be by July, I'm hoping it will be, if it moves above this 127.50, then I think we'll be back, and we'll be back on an upward trend. We're just really going sideways right now on Apple. The best strategy if you have Apple shares right now is to sell covered calls. That's what I'm doing, and this is the strategy that you probably want to use if you are looking at if you have Apple shares, you don't want to sell them, but you want to generate some extra income. When a stock is going sideways like this, like Apple is doing right now, that's when you want to consider possibly the strategy of the covered call. So that can be a very good way to go. Hey, thank you, Mark. Thank you very, very much. Dinesh, thank you very much. Hi, Jim. Do short squeezes peak closer to their due date? For example, Workhorse has been up for several days with short interest. Yes, absolutely, they do. Typically, what will happen with a short interest, and let's go over to Workhorse. That's a good question. WKHS, of course, is the symbol for Workhorse. And it does appear that it will typically move on an event, if there's an event that happens. Now, the question is, when's the next event for Workhorse? Well, we came through earnings, so I'm going to look. Typically, it'll key on things like an earnings, like earnings. Earnings for Workhorse are basically not until August 10th, so it doesn't look as if there's anything there that's doing it. So let's look to see if we can calculate the short interest percentage, and I think that's important to find out. The short interest has moved up 67% in the last few days, and currently it stands at 2.8. At 2.8 days of short interest times the average daily volume, which in this case is 16 million. This is a lot of shares. 16,696,800 shares. So the amount of shares typically that are held short right now is 46,751,040 shares. And the question is, what is the percentage of that? What was the percentage of float? Well, Workhorse has 108,500,000 shares in its float. So the amount of this is Workhorse is very, very susceptible to short squeezes, extremely susceptible, because 43% of all the shares of Workhorse are held short right now. So this is one that this is one that could really, really, really run well. Currently today, it's up 27%. This is definitely short squeeze. The volume is up 320%. Now the question is, with this amount of shorting, as you can see here, the question is when to get in. This is more the art rather than the science of how to play these short squeezes. But I definitely think we're going to have another one based on the calculation that I just made. 43% of the shares of this company are held short. So I do think there's a very, very high likelihood that we are going to see a short squeeze, and it possibly could move up as high, as it could move up, basically to maybe even the 200-day line, which is 20. Currently, we're at 16. I don't think it's going to move all the way up to 40, but it could get going. I mean, it could be a really severe short squeeze. Currently, with Workhorse, we're looking at about 43% of all the shares are being held short. So they've been sold. So this is very, very interesting. This can cause massive short squeezes, and you're definitely right to bring this up because, for many, many years, only the big boys could make money in short squeezes. I mean, that was it. I mean, they would screw us little guys every time. We get screwed. But now with Reddit and some of the other social media platforms, the tables have somewhat turned. I mean, look at GameStop. It's just incredible. I mean, it's trading for over $300 a share. I mean, I mean, it's a good company. I mean, there's one in the shopping center right next to me, but $300 a share is just incredible, and that's just basically all based on the short squeezes. Thanks. Okay, hi Jim. I'm up. All right, 117% on Workhorse. Got in at 792. Wow. Okay, here is the way you want to collect your profit. Thank you, Emmy. This is great. Oh, I just love hearing this. This is such a great thing to hear. I am so glad that you got in, and you got in right at the beginning. Wow, this is incredible. This is incredible. Hopefully you'll join our Discord room and share some of your secrets because this is great. You got in right about here. Wow. And now it's here. Okay, here's what I would do. You want to set your stop loss up. And I would recommend immediately going in and setting a stop loss and I'm going to give you a number. All right, let's go in here. So I would set my stop loss at, I think, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the 10-minute chart here to see kind of where I would set it. I think you should set it at about $15. That's what I'm going to say. It's about $15 right now. Okay, great. And so that's kind of where I think on Workhorse you should be. You should be. Oops. You should be setting your stop loss at right at about $15, and if you set it there, you're very likely to have potentially a very good because this will pull back. It's guaranteed to pull back, and when it pulls back, you'll be sitting pretty. Now, here's the thing about the stop loss. It's a market, market stop loss. Okay, you don't want to do the trailing stop. You want to do the market stop, and the reason is because this thing is likely to sell to Emmy is likely to pull down very, very quickly. If you have a market stop loss on it, you will get filled and you will make all that profit. So that's what I would do. Keep pushing my stop loss up, and I would just you got in here, so just keep moving that stop loss up just like this. There we go. and when it pulls back, and it will, you'll be sold out and you'll be making all the profit. I was able to use this strategy when last year on Tesla very successfully when it did its first initial run up. There was some short squeeze. I got in, I rode it up, I set my stop losses up, just each time incrementally, and then when it pulled back, I was sold out at a nice price. So that can be a very good way to to benefit on the on a move on a move like that. So there you go. Hey, Nathan, thank you very, very much for. Unfortunately, I don't know everybody, but thank you for joining our Discord service. We've had some pretty good success with people in the Discord service, and if you're interested and you're on TikTok, super easy to do. All you have to do is jump into, just go to the bio, hit the link, and you'll see there is you can go right to the Discord. You could sign up right for the Discord service. If you don't want to do that, we have a free action trade alert, and of course that's totally free. So that's available too. Just need the first and last name and your email address on that. So that's great too. Thank you very much. All right. So, hi Jim, are you live yet? Absolutely, I'm live right now. I'm live on www. I'm live at, and I'll just kind of give you that. We're at we're of course on YouTube, and this is sort of the. Oops, did I get that address in there? Yeah, we are on YouTube.com/Dallas Trading Floor, and of course you're going to see that as it comes up. So thank you for that very, very much. All right, so let's get back into some of the questions. Thank you so much. These are very good questions, especially on the short squeeze, which I think is a tremendous thing. You can definitely make some money on it. Let's take a question from Christian. Let's look at CLNE. CLNE. And that is clean energy. Okay. Yeah, I remember this guy. Interesting. It's interesting that you put that you've mentioned this. I think you mentioned this yesterday. This is going crazy. You're right. I mean, look at that. Look at that. After hours, it's going nuts. So I don't know what is going on here, but boy, you really have a good good take on this. Let's look at the 10-minute chart. Yeah, it's just doing very, very nicely. Lots of buying right at the end of the day. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, why clean energy is doing so well, and it's definitely doing well. I mean, this is a gap up with an Easter egg. So this is the largest volume since the base, and that's all the way back here. That's all the way back, basically last year. So this is a tremendous move on clean energy. Thank you for bringing this up, CLNE. I think that see how this opens tomorrow. I mean, look at this, 15. This is definitely, you should definitely be on your watch list. This is a good call, Christian. I appreciate this. So I'm going to put this on CLNE, and this is a gap up. And I have no idea why that's happening, but it's definitely in the right group. I mean, look at this, energy alternative. This is really, what is going to power our electricity in the near future is going to be natural gas, regardless of what everyone thinks. But it definitely is, and this is just looking very, very good. Christian, really appreciate that the heads up there on that. I mean, it's that's definitely something that I think is very interesting to everybody. And the oil and gas and the energy area has just been doing great. So let's take a look at one of other Christian's other ones here. But you definitely should put clean energy, CLNE, on your watch list. I don't know why it's spiking like this, but the volume is there. It's ready to go. And if it opens well tomorrow morning, you might want to get in with some. I'm going to take a look at some options, maybe an option play on that, because that is really looking good. Okay, let's look at WISH, and I just heard the bell, so we've definitely closed for the day. So this is kind of trying to see kind of what's actionable right now. WISH, and that is Cortex Logic, and it is. Oh, I know these guys. Okay, boy, these are both here in the Dallas area. Cortex, I think, is one of the ones that really has helped Walmart be a price leader. I think that's what they do. I believe they're both here in the Dallas area. So very interesting uh, that it's Wish, Context Logic, and I just want to kind of look at some things here. Nope, I'm sorry, they're in San Francisco. Excuse me. Another great place. I used to live in the Bay Area, in beautiful San Jose. For everyone that has been there, very nice place. Cannot say this does not. This chart is not looking that strong. Unfortunately, this chart is definitely definitely not as strong as I'd like to see it. Um, it's the relative strength is one. I think you want to avoid this one, even though we've had some very, very nice sales increases here, but we are still, unfortunately, we still have a negative cash flow right now. In the Nasdaq, in the stocks that are doing the best typically are not, if they're in the internet area. This just isn't doing as well. I mean, the retail internet area currently, in terms of sectors, is 144 out of 167. The reason that's significant is because that is showing us where the trend is in the market. So I kind of want to take a look at. Let me just take a look at some of at the trend in the market currently. So see if I can go back here to the daily chart and see if we can look and see, do a check kind of on what is trending the best in terms of sectors. And currently, let's go down here to the industry groups. The reason I look at these industry groups so much is because this is going to tell us where the capital is moving, what part of the what group rank the particular sector has. Currently, the retail consumer electronics area has been doing great. And of course, this is where GameStop is as a stock. So that's part of the reason. But where I've been concentrating, again, is the number 2 area. This is the U.S. Oil and gas exploration. I still think, this has been on it for a while, but it just seems to be doing very, very well. Now, if we look at the entire group, this is sort of the trend. Now, it's off a little bit today, but it maintains some very, very good opportunities. Now, top of the list in terms of opportunities for today is a company called Evolution Petroleum, and the symbol on Evolution is EPM. As you can see, it's pulled right into a buy zone, and this is one, it's not very expensive, and it's a relatively thinly traded stock. It's only a $4 stock, 491, but it's looking very, very nice. It basically has oil and gas in Texas and in Oklahoma, and of course, if you've been driving around, you know that the price of oil is going up tremendously. So this probably will benefit. Relatively thin stock, but is looking very good. Relative strength is 84. Definitely makes the pass on that. The question is it viable right now? Well, we can tell kind of if that is true. Now, the checklist on this is a little bit weak. I'll be honest with you. This is a little bit weak, but it's in the right group. The main areas of contention, the current price of this stock is under $10. Now, typically, in the way I invest, stocks that are under $10 typically get a lower ranking, only because they typically are more volatile. But you might be able to do well in this group. Now, if you do buy this, you don't want to set the stop loss 7% below. You want to go more like, 10% below, because this is going to be much more volatile. But this is a cup action. Very nice cup action, and it does, if it can hold on to the buy point, which is 468, then I think this one might be one that you want to put on your list. It's EPM, Evolution Petroleum. So very interesting stock as well, in a great group. All right, let's look at Roblox. Thank you very much, Ravi. Bought Roblox. I have a put spread on it. Need to hold 94. Okay. So let's look at Roblox, and a put spread can be very, very good. But I always recommend with a put spread that you go a little bit deeper in the money, because this can be an issue. Right now, unfortunately, it's pulled above, it's pulled below that very key level for 94, and I could see your issue here. The question is, should you hold it? And that is a good question. Let's kind of take a look. it does look like it is getting some support, but this is tough because this is a very volatile stock, and of course, the payouts are very good on volatile stocks, but again, it's tough because it's tough for the spreads. I typically, with the spread is a very good way to take care of volatility, but I typically don't do them on IPOs because of this. But this is a great stock, so um, the question is, what would you do in this case? Here's what I would do if I was in this same situation. I would basically look to close half of my position. So if you have, let's say if you have two contracts, consider closing one. Consider closing one of the contracts on this one. But I definitely think that you need to do some risk management here. If you have a spread, I think you start needing to do some risk management. So I would close half the position on this one, just just in doing that. Now, here's a question that I think everybody is going to be interested in, of course, and that is Bitcoin, because here's how I look at Bitcoin. I first look at the GBTC, and the reason I do is because the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust holds 4% of the world's Bitcoin, and I use it as a proxy to see kind of where Bitcoin is going. And of course, that's GBTC. Now, Bitcoin is up a little bit, but I still think there's a downward trend on Bitcoin. So basically what I'm going to do is show you, oops, I have a little bit of breakup in my screen there. The GBTC, we're still in this downward trend. So I'm going to go over to the weekly chart. This is one of the reasons I think you have to be a little bit careful about buying Bitcoin right now. It's struggling to hold on to the 200-day average, and it definitely has moved below that. So right now is probably not a good time to be in it to be in Bitcoin. I think that we have to be much more careful right now, because it does appear that some of the central banks are targeting Bitcoin to some extent, and I think that it's difficult to more difficult to trade it right now than it's been in a while. So we're going to go to the Bitcoin price to see kind of how it's trading. And I'm just going to pull that up right now. There we go. And I think we still have this issue with with Bitcoin pulling back, and I do think that Bitcoin is vulnerable. Bitcoin is vulnerable right now, and this kind of gives us the idea. Now currently it's at 36,220,225 on the U.S. dollar, and that's up a little bit from yesterday. But if you can take a look at the chart, you can see that this is definitely a downward trend. So we want to be extremely careful when it comes to Bitcoin right now. I do think that hopefully it's going to get some support at 30,000, but I think you've got to be very, very careful. The trend on Bitcoin currently is downward. So what I think you might want to do is possibly look at the gold fix, and if you have some profits in Bitcoin, maybe consider possibly moving over to a gold or a gold-like instrument. Now, one of the instruments that I particularly like and I use is a ETF that tracks the price of bullion. It's GLD. That is the symbol for it, and I kind of want to pull that up here to show you. So I'm going to pull that up and kind of give you an idea of how it's trading, at least currently. It's down a little bit today, but overall I think we're going to probably see this do a little bit better. As you can see, as opposed to the Bitcoin chart that was moving downwards, the general direction of the gold charts is up. So this is a potential hedge against inflation. And I do think we're going to see a lot of inflation, whereas I don't think Bitcoin is. I think Bitcoin is more of a trading vehicle, and it's a tremendous trading vehicle. People make a ton of money on it, but I think that if you want to lock in some of your profits, consider selling part of your Bitcoin if you have it, and then taking that cash and possibly investing it in something like gold shares or actual physical gold, because this is on its way up, as you can see. Gold basically bottomed basically right at the end of March, and this is starting this long commodities boom. We're going to see a commodities boom in the next. If inflation moves into the market, we're going to see much more of this. One of the things that we've seen is that oil prices are going up. By the end of the summer, we'll probably be paying at least $3.50 a gallon for gas, and in some places like California, it's going to be over $5. Now, I lived in San Francisco for quite a few years, and that is always that's along with Honolulu. That's typically the highest gas prices in the country. Why? Because we're going to see a lot of inflation. We're going to see inflation in food. We're going to see inflation in oil. So Bitcoin is not really a hedge against that. So I think what you might want to do, especially if you've made money in Bitcoin, is possibly look to making, take some of that profit off the table and putting it into something that is probably going to, at least in the short term, going to do a little bit better for inflation. So that's kind of my take on that. All right, let's look at TikTok again. Oh, all right. So let me see if I can take another question. Thank you very much for holding on. All right. This is a question. Where will Bitcoin end this week? Well, I don't know, but I do think that there's some support at about 32,000. Again, it's not an inflation hedge, and so it's a trading vehicle. And I do think that we're going to probably see it move. We're probably going to see some support there. I hope so. But if it does fall through 30,000, which absolutely could happen, then I think it's going to move lower, and so we've got to be prepared for that. Why did I say that? Well, the reason I say that is because I track this ETF called the GBTC, which holds 4% of the world's Bitcoin, and that's telling me that it is in a downward trend. The trend for Bitcoin is down, and if it falls below this key 30, the about 30,000, then I think it's going lower, and I think it may go down as low as 12 or 16. On this is about 10 to 1, so you could add a zero to this and get the price of Bitcoin. But there is some support. It seems like at about $16,000 for Bitcoin. That's what it's looking like to me. So as long as we can hold on to about 3,000, then I think you're okay. But if it falls below that, I think the first stop down is about 23,000, and then I think it may be going as low as 16,000. So I think you have to be extremely careful when it comes to Bitcoin right now. It just isn't in a good trend, but that might change. I mean, it just isn't in a good trend right now. All right, question. CCI call option. Here's the thing, Mark. I would sell this call. The reason I'm against I'm Bill Ackerman, I believe, is kind of like Bernie Madoff. I mean, I'm serious. CCIV is, I think it's absolute hot potato, and I don't trust it. I know that I know that people have made money in it, so I could be wrong, but I do believe very strongly that CCIV is a very dangerous security. And the reason I do is because it's a blank check company. It's basically just a bank account. You're betting on what they're going to merge with, and they may merge with. They may do great. I mean, they may do great, but I would be getting out of that position right now. CCIV, I think is, I think you can make money on it, but I think it's really, really speculative. All right, King Cyrus, thank you. Root is the consolidation is consolidation before the movement. Also openly do analysis then. Okay, well let's look at Root. And there we go. Root. Well, I don't know if it's in a consolidation period, if I can say that, but this is the chart of Root, which is basically an app-based mobile insurance. Interesting. Renter's insurance. Now, Lemonade is, of course, in this space as well. The insurance business is sort of an evergreen business. It's always a good business. But this stock doesn't look particularly good. I don't think it's consolidating. I still think it may actually move lower. It looks as if this could move potentially sub 10. Now it has moved up. So let's check to see if there's a short squeeze going on this one. And we may have a situation where this is being shorted. So let's kind of take a look to see if we can calculate that. There is a short interest of 5.2 days. So I'm going to put that in there. 5.2 times the average daily volume, which is 3,116. There we go. 116,000. Let's see if I can. Yeah, 800. There we go. 800 shares. So that gives us a total amount of shares held short on Root is currently 16,207,360. So what does that mean? Well, if we divide that by the shares that are in the float, which is 39 million, excuse me, 39 million 100,000. There we go. 39,100,000. That gives us a short interest of 41% of this stock is being shorted. So this definitely could have a short squeeze. This isn't a consolidation. This is a short squeeze. And that's indeed what's happened here. 41% up. Why? Well, people are having to cover their shorts, and the people that own the stock are making them pay for it. Now, could it have a short squeeze tomorrow? Well, I don't know, but it definitely looks like it. It looks like this one might just stay up there. If you're entering at this point, it's typically a little bit of a dangerous move because so many of these shares are held short. So if you do enter this one, and this may work for you, immediately come in and put in those stop losses, and then as it moves higher, that's how you want to do it. So this can pull out back very, very quickly, and so you want to be careful. Root is definitely being shorted. 41% of the shares of this stock are currently short, and that is a lot. So that could be the beginning of a short squeeze. Anytime you get up into the 40s and 50% of the float that's being short, that's when you're going to have your short squeezes. So this is possibly a good candidate for a short squeeze play, which has been kind of all the rage, as it were. So here we go. Any thoughts on comp? Insiders are buying. Interesting. Thanks, Jeet. You have always such great comments. COMP. Let's look at COMP. I'm going to bring that out now. COMP. And take a look to see. This is Compass. Boy, this is really interesting. Okay, so it provides an end-to-end platform for buying, renting, and leasing real estate asset workflow. I don't know what that means. It's definitely not in the top. It's 197 out of 197 in terms of the group. And this is essentially, this is an IPO. IPO bases are very, very tough to buy. I wouldn't be a buyer of this one right away because you got to wait about 3 months, and we're only in June on this one. So this is an IPO. But let's look at this group. Well, I kind of know who's in this group. So this is an IPO. There definitely has been, let's look to see. They're still cash flow negative. Okay, so this is a startup company. Their sales are up 80%. That is a good thing, but the relative strength is only 3. So here's what I would say on this one. I wouldn't be in this one, and just because it is not fully moved, yeah, it's moved down. So it basically IPO'd at $18. It then moved up, and there was some insider buying. That's what this little plus means. There was some insider buying, but but even with the insider buying, and that's what this insider buying cost. Even with this insider buying, it still collapsed, and when it reached 1940. So this has still not been bought in by the funds. So let's look to see kind of if we have any funds in this at all. I'm going to take a look. We have a checklist of 33. This is not a good checklist. It is an IPO, so we could be a little bit more lax on it, but still, that's just not the way to go. It does have this, it has a very good fund in it, this small cap fund, but not a lot. There are essentially no funds except for, and it looks like they just sold. It looks like they just sold. So I don't know what's going on here, but this Alger small cap fund Basically, they didn't have any funds before March. Now, this they did make it. Looks like they made a pilot buy here, but the funds aren't buying it. So I think you got to be careful with this, Sanjeet. Really do. The funds don't look like they're buying it, and we don't, and that's really what we got to look for, for an IPO. We got to see, we got to see a lot of funds that are moving into it. And currently, right now, there's only one fund, and that's just recent. They bought a starter position. Don't want to be a pioneer here. I think the best thing to do is probably to watch this and wait, but I wouldn't buy it. Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, Jim. Can you explain how covered calls? Need help with Apple. Well, if you can text, if you can go to the www Dallas, if you can go to www, if you can email me at jk Dallas Trading Floor at gmail.com. If you could do that, I can and give me a way I can reach out to you. I can definitely reach out to you on that, and I can show you how that particular trade works. But I guess I could show it to you, kind of what kind of what I have out there on the trade. So let me pull that up. I have to pull up the slide deck on that, so it'll take me just a second to do that. Let's pull that up and take a look, because that, I did put this out there, and I think it's a it's not a bad trade. And I'm going to kind of just go through it, kind of what it is and how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up on the screen right now. Thanks for that question. And this, by the way, is a trade that all of our our special Discord members, they always get these first, but then we sometimes put them out when for everybody that's on the Action Trade Alert. So that's one of the reasons, if you want to kind of check it out and check out some of these trades, the Action Trade Alerts, we do put these on from time to time. This trade basically involves to get into this trade, it's $272 to get into this trade. Basically, you buy an August 130 call, and then you simultaneously sell an August 20th 140 call. So this is what creates the spread between the two. So this is what creates the spread. When that happens, at least when this was taken about 3 days ago. The maximum risk is you limit your risk to $272, but you have a potential of tripling your return to $728, and this depends on how the stock is trading. So this kind of gives you an idea of how. If Apple moves up nicely, then as we approach August 20th here, we're going to increase in value. Now, the target of this is to the maximum profit on this will be if the Apple reaches 141 or better by August 20th, and that may or may not happen, but we do it's starting to move. Now, that would be a fairly large amount of distance. It would have to go all the way past the buy point at 137 and then up there. So it's probably not going to go all the way up to 140, but I do believe it may go as high as about one. It may go as high as about 137. If that were the case, this would be worth about $528 at the in August 20th. So it would be a nice return, almost a double on your on your shares. And of course, we share these all the time with people that are in our special. The people in the special Discord always get first dibs on that. And if you want to take a look at that, very easy to do. www.vinny.com. Put the U in there, Dallas Trading Floor, and then on that, that's on the paywall, and you'll be able to see kind of some of the trades that we've put out there. Some are visible only to our special Discord members. So this is a good way to take a look at that. And if you're looking on TikTok, super easy to get on that list. All you have to do is go to my bio, hit the link, and first and last name and an email address, and then you'll be on the Action Trade Alerts list. And that's we put these out from time to time. But of course, our special Discord members get first access to them, and we've had some very good success. I think Samir, he did one that we did before. He basically in 4 days he made I think about $700. It was pretty nice. It was a pretty nice score. I was on that one too. I do trade these myself, so I'm not just trying to put it out there and letting you go. So if you remember the special Discord service, I definitely try to help everyone to be profitable in those trades. All right, so that's probably our last question because we're right at an hour. Let's look at PSFE to see. Let's see. Okay. PSFE. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you very much. This is another, PaySafe. Okay, UK provider of payment processing. I do like the payment processing area. I will be very honest with you. I do like that area. It has been very, very good for a lot of people. So this one, let's kind of take a look at the daily chart. There's not a lot of history on this one, and it does look like, it IPO'd. It was up to $19, but it is in a downward trend. So here's what I would say about this one currently. I don't think this is investable right now, and the reason I don't is because if you look at the RS line, this is the relative strength line, and this mirrors the S&P 500. You notice that it's in a downward trend, and if we look at the last few days, we can see that it went up, but it's come down, it's went up. So it's still in a downward trend. So this is not something you want to buy right now. It's just not the thing to do because it's in a downward trend. Try never to buy anything in a downward trend because you don't know when the trend's going to end. And remember, you don't want to catch that falling knife because it can be very painful. I've done this many, many times. I've thought, boy, I know this is going to be a winner. I know everything about it, but the trend is your friend. Don't buck the trend. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's a falling knife, at least for right now. So, but thank you for the question. It's a good question. It's just I don't think that this one is probably going to be as profitable as you want, and you could lose money on this one. So be very careful with PaySafe. It's in a downward trend right now. Well, I've talked for a whole hour, and I thank you very much for taking a look. If you want to subscribe to the free Action Trade Alerts, super easy to do. All you have to do is go. Yeah, I'm going to put that up here. Yeah, very okay. Free Action Trade Alerts, and it's www.sendfox.com/DallasTradingFloor. They'll take you right to where you can sign up for the free Action Trading Alerts. And if you're watching on TikTok, super easy. You don't even have to do that. You just go to my bio, hit the link, and first and last name, and an email address where we can contact you. And this is, we put this out on the free Action Trade Alert. So until tomorrow at 2:30, thanks everybody for for dropping by. Tell your friends, and we're going to have some good stuff coming up here. Hopefully, we're going to have some merch and everything like that. Wow, pretty exciting stuff coming up. And so until tomorrow at 2:30. Oh, there we go. Until tomorrow at 2:30.